what's up, YouTube? Hope you guys are having a great start to the week. So just want to touch on the trade that we took, starting off pretty much Globex session here in Asia, I should say. Coming into this week, I've had a sentiment on gold, and it obviously played out very well. And also when it comes to NQ and ES, I'm obviously looking for some certain areas to be broken out of before we look for any kind of trend move. For now, we've just been on a really large time frame consolidation, which I think anyone who's been swinging contracts likely have been chopped off by time decay and all that type of stuff, right? And or people have been trying to trade the intraday and may have found some struggles doing that alone as well, right? Because they can't really figure out what the direction we're trying to head. I think this is where like a lot of things I talk about when it comes to managing expectations come into play. So I'm going to touch on quickly the 3 trades that I took over the Asia session, specifically for the LUCID Black account. As you guys know, I got my first payout already on that account after trading my 3 trading days from last week. And so I'm working on trying to do the same thing again this week, but I'm either going to be able to hit the base target of being able to get that $1,500 payout, or hopefully we'll be able to get the bonus payout, which would mean that I would be able to add an additional $1,500 on top. We'll see. I don't like to create arbitrary goals, but I'm more so just fine-tuning it and sharing the specifics so that you guys kind of understand like what I'm trying to achieve. But we'll have to let the market present its opportunities, because if I don't have the opportunity to capitalize on the moves that I need to achieve my 40% consistency rate, my 3 trading days, and all that type of stuff, then so be it. You also might ask, Alan, why wouldn't you just, hang on and trade a little bit more and then get to your 3,000? I think those of you who've been following me for long enough, I like to protect my profits. I like to protect my payouts. So I'd much rather, if I have the ability by the third day to withdraw my 1,500, I am not going to squeeze another day in to get that extra 1,500 after the fact. I'm totally okay taking the payout and then resetting it back to square one again in that regard. So anyways, I'll talk about the trade. So I had a 66% win rate over Asia. I actually took a loss on my first trade of the day. And to be honest, when I look back at it, and I was telling this to my students too, I'm okay with it, because in the end of the day, based on kind of what I would normally look for my binary risk of approach, of like 2R, whatever that may be, had I actually just followed that, I actually would have been fine. And I didn't. So I think that's the cost of not following your rules and following your system. But I was experimenting a little bit as well at the same time. So I'll take the loss on the chin, nevertheless. And this was the first trade that I took. I actually longed here because I really liked the way that we were holding higher lows here. So I took a long, and to be honest, if I would have gone for 1R for the lower profit target, I would have gotten it perfectly fine with this move up here. Or based on the target I was trying to hit, which was a little bit up here, having to stretch my risk a little bit further, again, still 1R, and I still wouldn't gotten it. So either way, I think that it is kind of what it is, but that was kind of like some of my self-reflective notes on the overall trade itself for this one. And then kind of going into the next trade, I patiently waited. We had this big move down here on gold, and we retested VWAP. I really liked the way that we held this and kind of reclaimed back our structure. So after I kind of saw here that we held our structure, I entered my long here on this bar, and pretty much caught my 1R trade up here. I targeted up here because in case we were to double top here, I wanted to be prepared for that. So I took that, and that was my win there. Okay. And then moving on to the other trade that I took, this was the third trade. So I got 1 loss, 1 win on gold. My winner that really made the difference for me was NQ. And so we saw this major gap down here again, and we kind of started climbing up. I know some people managed to catch the longs off of the area of interest that I have here, or maybe even test the VWAP for higher low. But I was talking to a student as well, is that like the reality is the reason why I didn't want to long was because I didn't feel good about this type of setup, to be perfectly honest. And if anything, this short here on the lower high at that moment in time would have been the trade that I would have wanted. And it did actually warrant a nice 1R trade, a 1.5R trade here as well. But anyways, there was just some conversations we were having, and there were reasons behind why this one made sense. But with that though, coming in, I went for the long instead. So after we rejected the Globex New York opening print spot that I had marked up here, we came back down. I want to see if we were going to be able to hold above the structure and especially reclaiming Globex more importantly, right? Because because right now you can see here we basically came right back beneath Globex, and so I didn't like that. I would definitely have needed to see us reclaim structure, which we did. Once we had that nice close back above Globex, I took my entry with the stop loss below here, down here, and I managed to catch this move up, and I sold it for about 40 points. You might ask why 40 points? Because that good old 200 EMA I always talk about, we were going to come close to that, and I didn't want to be a prick for a tick. So I took my profits here at 40 points beneath my channel, beneath the 200 EMA, and I called it, right? And so over Asia, I do size a little higher than I do over New York. So based on how that all worked out, I posted on Instagram, but I managed to lock in my $1,700 on the day. So green on the day, and really happy with that. Last thing I'll talk about here is the New York session. I didn't get to the charts right or in the morning. My kiddos have been sick, so it's really wanted to be tending to that. But instead, I did manage to cap the short here. I scalped the pullback on options here, and I got about a 40% trade to the downside. So happy with that. But other than that, man, I mean, honestly, charts are looking trendy right now to the upside. I wouldn't be surprised if NQ continues to move to 26,000 today. But anyways, just speculative thoughts at best. But busy day ahead of me here, so I'm gonna go about my day and have client meetings lined up for the rest of the day. I'm going to tend to that. But if there's any other questions, as always, drop comments down below. I'll do my best to answer them as I go. Otherwise, follow me on Instagram. I do post there daily. And if you haven't heard already, this will be the last week. Basically, the next 6 days is where I'm going to be going through my applicants for the mentorship that I'm hosting. And again, like I said, in prior ones as well, it's a mentorship. It's not just a class. So we're not talking about learn my system, see you later. It's learn my system and continue to work with me and nurture your skill set. So if you have any questions or interests, reach out to me on Instagram, DM me there. Be happy to book a call and kind of go through things with you. So anyways, with that, I'll catch you guys later. Have a great week.